You walked into the store looking for a blender. There were three options. The first one was $40. The second was $75. The third was $140. You bought the $75 one. You felt responsible. You were not being responsible. You were being manipulated by the third blender. The $140 blender was never meant to be bought. It was placed there specifically to make $75 feel like the reasonable middle. Without it, $75 feels expensive. Next to it, $75 feels like restraint. Same blender, same price. Completely different decision. The decoy effect. This technique has a name. Researchers call it the decoy effect, or asymmetric dominance. It is used in almost every pricing decision you will ever encounter, from popcorn to software to real estate. The decoy works because your brain does not evaluate options in absolute terms. It evaluates them relative to the other options available at the moment of decision. Remove the comparison point and the decision changes. Add a strategically placed comparison point and the decision changes again. The product did not change. Your perception of it did. Dan Ariely demonstrated this in a famous experiment with magazine subscriptions. Three options: online only for $59, print only for $125, and print plus online for $125. The print only option at the same price as both combined was the decoy. Almost everyone chose the combined option. When he removed the decoy, most people chose the cheaper one. The reason the decoy works, even on people who know about it, is that the mechanism operates before conscious reasoning kicks in. Your brain ranks the options automatically and instantly. By the time you are consciously deciding, the ranking is already done. Awareness slows this down. It does not stop it, where you've already seen this. You have encountered this in almost every purchase decision involving multiple options: movie theater popcorn, streaming service tiers, phone storage plans, hotel room categories, software subscription levels, wine lists at restaurants. In every case, one option exists primarily to make another option feel reasonable. The movie theater popcorn example is so well documented, it has become a business school case study. A small for $3, a medium for $5.50, and a large for $6. The medium exists to make you feel that the large is an obvious upgrade for 50 cents. Without the medium, most people would choose the small. The medium is not there to be chosen. It is there to be compared. Streaming services have refined this to an art form. A basic plan with ads for $7. A standard plan for $13. A premium plan for $18. The basic tier is designed with at least one frustrating limitation, specifically so the middle tier feels necessary rather than optional. The basic tier is not a real offering. It is a reference point. Restaurant wine lists are a masterclass in this. The cheapest bottle is rarely ordered because it signals cheapness. The most expensive is rarely ordered because it signals extravagance. The second cheapest bottle is the most commonly ordered, and restaurants know this, which is why the second cheapest bottle on most restaurant lists carries the highest profit margin. Software and subscription companies have turned three-tier pricing into a science. The basic tier is usually crippled enough to be frustrating. The enterprise tier is priced for corporations. The middle tier is designed to feel like the obvious rational choice given what is on either side of it. The middle option is rarely the best option. It is the best manipulated option. The contrast effect. The decoy effect is a specific application of a broader mechanism called the contrast effect. Your brain does not process values in isolation. It processes them relative to whatever it encountered immediately before. A salary of $70,000 feels generous after you heard someone mention $50,000. It feels disappointing after you heard someone mention $90,000. The same number produces different emotional responses depending on what came before it. This is not a quirk. It is the default mode of human evaluation. You do not have an absolute value meter. You have a relative one. And whoever controls what you see first controls how everything else feels. Real estate agents have used the contrast effect for decades. Showing you an overpriced rundown property first makes the next property at a similar price feel like a bargain, even if objectively it is not. The first property was never meant to be sold. It was meant to recalibrate your reference point before you saw the one they actually wanted to sell you. This is also why the first number stated in a salary negotiation has such disproportionate influence on the final outcome. The number you hear first becomes the anchor against which every subsequent number is evaluated. A counteroffer of $80,000 feels very different depending on whether the opening number was $60,000 or $100,000. E-commerce platforms have industrialized this. The original price crossed out next to the sale price is a contrast mechanism. The suggested retail price on a listing is a reference point designed to make the actual price feel like a discount, regardless of whether anyone ever paid the suggested retail price. The FTC has found repeatedly that many products with reference prices never actually sold at those prices in any meaningful volume. Luxury brands use the contrast effect differently. They do not expect most customers to buy the $5,000 item. They display it so that the $800 item looks accessible by comparison. The function of the most expensive item in a luxury store is not to generate revenue from that item. It is to recalibrate what counts as reasonable spending in that store. Behavioral economists call the tendency to choose the middle option the Goldilocks effect. Not too expensive, not too cheap, just right. Retailers know about this tendency, and they price accordingly. The middle option is not priced where it is because of its cost structure. It is priced where it is because of your psychology. You cannot opt out of this mechanism. Your brain is built to evaluate everything relationally. It does not have an absolute value system for prices. It has a relative one. Modern retail has simply learned to set that reference before you arrive. Every price you see in a store is designed to be evaluated against other prices in that store. The physical placement of products, the order in which options are presented, the framing of discounts, all of it is calibrated to shape your reference point before you even consciously register a price. The convenience of browsing 3 options at once is also the vulnerability of having your reference point set by whoever arranged those 3 options. How to actually defend yourself. The most effective defense is changing the question you ask yourself at the moment of purchase. Instead of asking which option is the best value given the available choices, ask what you would pay for this specific option if the other options did not exist. Remove the comparison. Evaluate the absolute. When you see 3 options, mentally remove the most expensive one first. Then ask whether you would choose the middle option if only the cheapest and the middle existed. If the answer is no, the middle option is winning because of the decoy, not because of its value. That question takes 5 seconds and interrupts the mechanism before it completes. A second defense is time. The contrast effect is strongest at the moment of exposure to the comparison. If you see 3 options and feel the pull of the middle one, leaving the store or closing the browser tab and returning the next day removes a significant portion of the anchoring effect. The options will look different without the immediate contrast pressure. The most powerful defense is deciding your price ceiling before you encounter the options. If you research what a reasonable price for a blender is before you enter the store, you have an external reference point that exists outside the manufactured comparison environment. The store can only manipulate your reference point if you arrive without one. Understanding the contrast effect also lets you use it deliberately. In a negotiation, stating your number first anchors the conversation to your reference point before the other party can establish theirs. In a salary negotiation, researching the top of the real market range for that role gives you an external anchor that is not set by the person offering you the job. Knowing about the decoy effect and the contrast effect will not make you immune to them. Awareness reduces the effect but does not eliminate it. You will still feel the pull of the middle option. You will still feel that the second cheapest wine is more reasonable than the cheapest. The mechanism runs faster than your conscious reasoning. What changes when you know? What changes is not your immediate feeling. What changes is your behavior after the feeling. You can feel that the middle option is compelling and still pause to ask whether that feeling is based on the product's actual value or on its position relative to the options around it. That pause is worth money. Every environment you walk into has been designed to shape your reference point before you make a decision. Every price you see has been placed in relation to other prices deliberately. Every tier, every crossed out number, every limited time offer exists to tell your brain what normal looks like before you get to decide for yourself. The question that changes your behavior is not which of these options is the best value. It is what would I pay for this specific option if the other options were not here. That question removes the manufactured contrast. It forces an absolute evaluation, and it is available to you every time, in every store, for every decision, even the ones you have already made 100 times before. Someone who has never heard of the decoy effect will pick the middle option and feel smart. Someone who has heard of it will pick the middle option, feel the same pull, pause for 5 seconds, ask the right question, and sometimes walk away with the $40 blender. That is not a perfect defense, but it is a real one. And over a year of purchasing decisions, it adds up. The mechanism will always be there. The 3 options, the crossed out price, the second cheapest wine. What changes is whether you give the mechanism the final word or whether you insert one question before you do. That question is the entire value of understanding the contrast effect, not immunity. Just a brief window in which you get to decide for yourself. You will still feel the pull of the middle. You will still hesitate before the cheapest wine. You will still look at the price tag on the large popcorn and feel like it is almost the same as the medium. That is fine. The feeling is not the problem. The problem is when the feeling makes the decision before you do. After watching this video, you will walk into a store and feel the pull of the middle option and know why you feel it. That awareness does not make you immune, but it gives you a 5-second window that you did not have before. And in that window, you can ask the one question that changes whether the mechanism makes your decision or you do. Not every time, not perfectly, but enough times, across enough decisions, over enough months, to matter. That is the realistic case for understanding cognitive biases. Not that knowing them makes you rational, that knowing them gives you occasional moments of choice that you would not otherwise have had. Fine. Subscribe. It won't help, but it might make you slightly less easy to manipulate. Not perfectly immune, just slightly less easy.